Mature.
I'm trapped. I know what's real.
Go to Wonderland. It's only a dream. I'll set you free, Alice.
Is it mad to pray for better hallucinations? I've not come back here looking for a fight.
That's a pity. One's certainly looking for you.
The destruction of Wonderland is the destruction of me.
Now a new evil reigns.
Help me, Alice.
We need your help!
What's happening? I'm in hell.
There is no method in this madness.
The face of evil in the heart of darkness. Perfect.
Let the madness begin!
Rated M for mature.
I'm trapped. I know what's real.
Go to Wonderland. It's only a dream. I'll set you free, Alice.
Is it mad to pray for better hallucinations? I've not come back here looking for a fight.
That's a pity. One's certainly looking for you.
The destruction of Wonderland is the destruction of me.
Now a new evil reigns.
Help me, Alice.
We need your help!
What's happening? I'm in hell.
There is no method in this madness.
The face of evil in the heart of darkness. Perfect.
Let the madness begin!
Rated M for mature.
I'm trapped.
Okay, let me see here quickly because I completely forgot about this. Forget about it because it's no longer a priority, honestly. Done. Okay. Greetings and salutations all. Welcome back to Invisible Let's Play the project. I'm your host Invisible from Invisible's gaming channel. It's Sucking at for Hearts from Dark Side of the Moon. And I know that I'm starting today super late, in fact too late. I should have not even streamed today because I am right now at least 3 hours behind the schedule, the acceptable one. Regardless, it's all thanks for my knee medications and my muscle strain medications as well, both, since they make me sleep too much. Anyway, today we shall be continuing on our showcasing of the Alice art book for Alice Madness Returns. Again, we will not be having any kind of gameplay since we already finished the game. We'll just be exploring the rest of this book, The Art of Alice Madness Returns. Last time here, we managed to reach 96 on the book, this very exact page. Hopefully today we will be able to finish it off so we can shut down the project completely. Before we start, I'd like to pray peace be upon all of my subscribers and commentators, forwards, fans and friends, everyone from the Beasts of the Other Empire and everyone from the Discord server, for YouTube friends, by name, peace be upon Thunderstruck Gaming, B809 Gaming, Lux Bear, Marcos, NetherCrash31, Mike IC2211, Rogue Agent, Carodan, Tryfield, ZPTV123, Matthew 1121, Slagada Crew85, Arfar Muscle Gaming, and Bob Express. Without any further delay, let's just keep moving to our book again. Yes, we stopped completely playing the game because we already finished it once. We're just now checking out what exactly stuff were completely removed from the original idea and what we could possibly expect from Alice Asylum if they are going to use the unused ideas in here. Once again, I will not be placing my headphones on my head since all I'll be doing just reading the notes of the illustrators, that's it, and showcasing the rest of the pages of the book, that's it. Let's see here. This illustration here is of, I think this is the second ship, with Alice down there, running and jumping over the ship. Tara Lockett, this was inspired by the true story of John Franklin's doomed Arctic voyage, in which the ship became icebound and scurvy, lead poisoning, and cannibalism occurred among the desperate and dying crew members. Floating sharks made from the shipwreck would search for prey as snow falls through the hole in the sky. Obviously, this was never meant to be because it never made it to the final project of the game. When we met with Mock Turtle, everything is ending just fine. As per usual, there are no viewers, except for one. This is myself, because I opened the application to my phone. If there is going to be any kind of commentators, which I held out. The Deluded Depth. The original game used most of the well-known characters from the two books. Two interesting figures that Alice had not yet met were the Walrus and the Carpenter. Yeah, I figured out that much. We give them Deluded Depth, our underwater area. With them, they brought the oyster fated to be eaten by the walrus. We also decided to reintroduce the Mock Turtle here. He is now captain of the HMS Griffon, built in memory of his fallen friend. This was at times a very frustrating area to work on. On the one hand, we had a lot of fantastic, beautiful concept arts, which translated into 3D molds. On the other hand, we knew that watery environment and abstract level construction would be a huge technical challenge to overcome. Our initial idea was that Alice would spend parts of the level swimming like a mermaid, and parts walking as if she were on land. Ultimately, we couldn't make the swimming fun and had to cut it from the game. Even though you did make Alice from the first game capable of swimming, but not necessarily a mermaid, still, the idea of a mermaid Alice sounds nice. Let's see here. Terralocket, a design for a mermaid mast with chain, tentacles, tentacles. Her swimming movement would be like a squid or an octopus. KW, we went as far as modeling and animating the mer squid, but we never got the chance to use her in the game. Then it's supposed to be the part in the front of the ship. Also, yeah, this is a beautiful model and illustration. I know that she has an exposed to butt hookers. This was made by Wang Shingo. I don't honestly care about censorship in illustrations because this is art. It's not actual real people. Also, my channel is made exclusively for adults. No one has the right to judge what I choose. Regardless, even if you were going to censorship me or whatever, I most likely will try out different websites. This website will not be my only option. I am very much serious about trying to migrate somewhere else. Here, Alice is fighting some enemies, I think. Are those wasps or what? This is the map we played through. Okay, looking good. Let's see here. Left, Tyler Lockett. In a prologue to exploring the ice ships, Alice encounters a cannibalism in Inuit village, not based on a true story. Inuit people are perfectly civil. I know how to pronounce this, but I cannot remember it since I did multiple times hear it being pronounced in the Golden Kamuy. Inuit, I cannot remember exactly the pronunciation for it. Above, Ben Kerslake, early pre-visualization for the 2.5D ship shooter. Images such as these provide a target for art and game design. So before you even start with designing a game, you need first illustrations to know what you're expected to be working on, what's the main idea, and what I'm planning to do. Okay. Opposite. Hongdi, a map of the water level. I used a Victorian rendering style to fit with the style of the game. right? Poo Jing Song. Animals from the original Alice story. They are frozen and cannot move. Maybe they are still alive when they are being eaten by the ice sharks. KW, I told Pooh Jinsong the easiest way to conveying the texture we wanted would be to just paint on top of the photographs. Following pages, Nako, we were asked to paint over some existing level layouts to improve the visuals. We had to consider where our designs would create problems for the 3D or technical art. I tried my best to give it a peaceful atmosphere like a dream. Well, after all, Alice did this in a dream. Wow. This is beautiful. The moon releasing the aurora borealis. The colors reflecting on the ice. This is beautiful. I bet this is the same exact page, but because it is left and right parts. The ship within the big bottle. Let's see here. I'm having some coffee in order to help me focus. Left. Lewis Miller. It has been said that sometimes things are not what they seem in Wonderland, but other times they are overly literal, which is practically the same. This oyster bed is deceiving, even if you imagine it to be a real bed. You won't expect that. You won't expect the deadly tentacles. American McGee's team has some mad fascinations with tentacles all the time. Above, Lewis Miller. These are the first drafts of the Carpenter character, an enticer and a manipulator who gets what he wants through the showmanship and charisma. It's clear there's something fishy about him, but no one wants to miss the show. In fact, morbid curiosity about what the show is really about is what makes it so popular. A marketing strategy to keep in mind. So basically, hype over showing, over sincerity. Those are the drowned sailors. Lewis Miller, the first rendering of the ghost sailor as a homeless soul, drunken and angry from being assaulted and robbed of their lives and their ships by the carpenter. They go around in an undead form, picking fights with anyone and anything until someone puts their souls to rest. What is this? Yeah, I believe we already saw these illustration, these middle models in the room right before the fight. Son Golyang, my tasks are always special. This time it is to torture the fishman. Saws, chains, series of torture tools appeared in my mind, and I put them into the design. Ken said it is so cruel, but he likes it too. Yeah. Below, Lewis Miller. This started out as a study of Alice in an underwater fish bowl, washed on the other side of a glass by the Cheshire cat. It became a starting point for the colors and textures. Feel of the kelp forest, where Alice goes looking for the oyster bed. Bone saw, some bolts, and Okay, the fish. They really love to show off the dark side of Wonderland. Is this in her siren dress again? Lewis Miller. The fish barrier was an idea to limit Alice's range of exploration without imposing a rigid physics limit. As she went out of bounds, some small fish would start nibbling at her, causing damage. If she ended up going too far, she would be reduced to prehistoric deep sea fish rations. As the view would grow dark in an almost shapeless, overwhelming swarm. You do know that you did use this strategy in the first game, but not as boundary guards, rather actual enemies, and it was very much frustrating and annoying. Also, yes, she's in her siren dress. I can conclude that because of the legs. Her feet are lacking socks and shoes. Also, this is the water level, so what were you expecting? I need to stop overcompensating with this scrolling. Pooh Junsong. This is a dangerous clam trap with an eye that follows Alice's movement. When Alice steps on its tongue, she suffers a critical attack. In the first design, it was covered by a hard shell, and then we gave it a flesh tongue to make it look more disgusting. KW, we hired Pooh Jinsong based on the awesome little storyboards that he does. Really? Nice. She goes in, it eats her, and then the blood comes out. That was the original concept. I wonder where does the body vanish to? Above and below. Wang Shingo. We changed one pincer into a cannon to make this enemy more aggressive. The piranha needs a big mouth to eat people. Could it be any bigger than this? An entire 180 open. This is disgusting. But also lovely. Right, Neko. The Kraken tentacle needed to be very horrible and disgusting so that players will know not to touch it. I referenced many weird deep sea creatures to do this task. I also tried to give it the ability to spit poison to create electricity. KW, an unused design for the tentacle of the Kraken, a giant creature who stalks Alice throughout the level. He was unfortunately cut due to the time and technical reasons. I could see that. I can understand. We technically right now reached the page 105 out of 187. If we can reach the same way we reached in the previous session, I think we might be able to finish the entire book today. Sun Guliang left Nako a big fish frozen in the ice. It was originally a normal fish, just a little bit horrible, but later we decided to make it a skeleton fish with a rotten flesh. I believe this is the one that we saw stuck in the ice. Okay, next. Are those mimics? Yeah. the anchor, the chest, the seahorse, the disgusting looking eyefish, Wu Yuan, and Ken Wong KW. These undersea critters were unfortunately cut from the time for time reasons. The turtle chest was in the game for a while, though, as a goal for swimming Alice to chase. It alluded to the mock turtle chase in the first game. I think we did see elephants to the turtle. That's it, but we never actually met it. Actually, an eye fish is just disgusting. Alice and her, I think one of her dresses. I'm not going to keep guessing which one, but those are some fish. How do you digest anything you eat? 2/3 of your body is your mouth. Ken Wong, seahorse. I think those are piranhas. Piranha. Skeleton fish. Sun Golyang. I spend a lot of time collecting references and trying ideas for this undersea desert. I thank you for it. Wow. I believe this is the theater area. Louis Miller. The theater setting is inspired by the 19th century theaters and opera, and it's a hub. It's the hub for the underwater chapter. It's where Alice gets her objectives and brings the show together. It's built from sunken ship parts and the remains of ocean creatures. I can see it. This piece still leaves things quite open about the space's scale and as to what would happen in it. True. Louis Miller. The octopus is the author of the musical that Alice has to put together. He's a misunderstood and grumpy old genius who lives in a bottle and rarely comes out. It won't be easy to convince this old drunkard to hand over the show's script. This is the rest of the illustration to the right. The level is beautiful. Theater, lighthouse, the bottles. When you look at it from this far away, you'll realize how much the areas are connected, rather than being just some levels. Also, do make the full circle until you reach the graveyard. Wow. Louis Miller, an attempt to structure many of the ideas for underwater areas into a world. These would range from deep, dark rifts to underwater caves, a kelp forest, and a giant fish bowl. The theater town is the hub for exploration. Below Louis Miller, our original production for the musical was quite ambitious. It involved all kinds of sea artists and pops. Some of the most exorbitant were the can crab dancer and their dizzying choreography. I thought so when I saw the crabs. The can dance is the most overinflated dance in the world, in the history. Honestly, I don't see at all the charming point about it. Lift, Louis Miller. The slime oysters are the stars of the show. They dream of going on stage. They are also the objects of the walrus's lusty hunger. They are simply irresistible. They are wearing their wigs and dressed up in lace, with sparkling shells. Little do they know about their impending finale. There will be no encore. So, it's true that this is just a wig. They're just oysters. And this silly looking lace is for no reason role. And their only job is to be eaten by the walrus. That is just disgusting. Let's see here. Basically, the game is trying to tell you that whatever you see in London, while Alice is walking around, are what inspires her imagination to create the next stage. That's why most of the stages that we go through are built around the very area that Alice just explored. Not sure if my voice is different or not. Regardless. Let's move on. I need to finish this video. Louis Milo and Wang Xingong. LM. Wait a minute. LM means Louis Milo. Oh, now I understand. Yeah, too late. Too late. After 110 pages, you understand now the initials shortcut meaning. The walrus is the incarnation of the gluttony and the stupidity, but also the brute strength. He's the perfect kind of sidekick for the carpenter, and he gets sidekicked and teased quite a lot. If only he weren't so clumsy. Right, Louis Milo. This draft was done toward a more final layout of the town, including the architecture, showing buildings that are more like ship sections, and to a more balanced scale against this theater building. I can see it, yeah. I can see it. They wish to balance the scale and the overall area. I mean, they need to make a town, but also not make the theater to be its main center. It is indeed the attraction, but also it is not necessarily the center point of it. Nice looking illustration. A performance to die for, the Diddley Walrus. One night only, the big show featuring the fabulous Oyster Sisters. Yeah, it literally is a one night only, because everyone in it will die. Sun Golyang, why did they give this landmark task to me? Because it is dark and bloody, I am good at this. This time, the victim is a flatfish. We carved letters on its body, and it is still alive. KW. KW initials, I'm not sure who. Each of these signs had to be localized into 5 additional languages. My respect to you. Sun Golyang. Another victim. Hope it doesn't feel too much pain. Facing Louis Milo. Here is a detail of the element and style we wanted to bring together to build the town's structures, parts from ships, from the rotten wood hull to the anchors, together with the sea creatures and their remains, all covered in a layer of sea grit and barnacles. Somehow the mix of these should also be reminiscent of the 19th century or even earlier theatrical environments. Lewis Miller. These are two initial keys for the color scheme of the deep ocean and an approach to the town. Before we had decided where to go with the architecture, you can see some whalebones there as well. The lighting and colors of these were pretty much kept all the way through. Nice to know. Wow! The colors, the shades, the details. Yeah, it's a very little town, but also the area around it is fascinating. This is beautiful. It's pretty beautiful. Who said that underwater levels are bad? And if you dare to bring out the Zelda games, please leave. We are talking about PC gaming, not aged stuff. Nako. This is a paint over showing Alice standing on a high place under the sea. For this kind of task, we need to talk with the level designers all the time to know the details of the level. This particular vista needed to look colorful and fantastic, but also with a horror feel. The player can see every part of the domain from the screen. Where is Alice? You said from a very high point. Where is she? I don't see her. Is this Alice? Or just a texture? I'm not really sure. I honestly don't know. I can't see it. I can't see her. Next. Lighthouse with more underwater details. I know for a fact that not everyone will be willing to explore such books like this online with people. That's why I'm doing it. Also, I do have to do it in order to perfect my finale for the project. I got my copy of Alice Mandel's full collection, and I got myself also the PDF books. So I do have the rights to share with you what I have, as long as it is under my own permission. Left, Lewis Miller. One of the concepts for the horn section that Alice needed to find for the musical show was basically a horn blowfish. He could play himself, right? Yuan Schwofing, KW. This fish was to be used as a swimming hazard. Alice could only attack him when he was puffed up. The bufferfish obviously was cut because we never met it. Let's see this. Yuan Schwofing, KW. The final design of the musical fish is a bottle because there used to be bottles in the ice area that also contained sound. Told you it was a bottle that looked like a fish. Its main design reveals it. Also, I can see here some starfish concepts. Above, Yuan Schwofing. Below, Lewis Miller. Heavy water is mainly presented in the darker chasms and the far reaches of the ocean, in which Alice needs to travel quickly. Central areas which Alice has to explore thoroughly, and where she does a lot of combat are in the light water. Here you can see how the colors and the light changed accordingly. Lewis Miller. In some underwater areas, Alice might find it easier to walk rather than swim. To distinguish these areas, we had heavy and light water different colored. Of course, nothing of this ever made it to the final project. One eye, 5 eyes, a nose, something else, I'm not sure. Yeah, the light and the dark waters. Dark waters where she would have had to swim. Light water where she would prefer to walk around. This never made it. Here she is, swimming in her blue classic dress to some kind of a giant sea something. This is very big tower. I wonder what was in it. Son Goyang, the villagers of the town are mainly oysters, so my first idea was to make the village look like a big oyster shell, and the oyster villagers live in the small holes. So this is a one giant oyster shell then. Creative. Those are all oysters, most likely. The Duchess and her pigs. And her reflection also shows some kind of a pig. No need to stay in this page for too long if there are no notes. Okay. The mirrors, I don't remember what this thing is named. Something homographone, I'm not really sure. Pig babies. Disgusting. Nako. In the original design, the Duchess lived undersea. Maybe that's because the directors thought it's cool to bathe under the sea. So we wanted to add more Victorian bathroom elements. We put the Duchess and her pig into a standard Victorian bathtub. KW, the Duchess originally had no role in the game, so we created this bizarre scene for her and her pig baby. Even the pepper grinder shows up, as it wasn't a weapon yet. All of this was modeled before the Duchess was reassigned to the Valley of Tears, and we had to ask Nako to give the Duchess back her clothes. I think Nako is the main designer. Honestly, the idea of breathing underwater is not that crazy. Seen it multiple times in Trash Bob 30 Pants. I hate that show with all my guts and my soul. It's just completely pointless, brainless, and completely mad, which makes it perfect for this kind of a game. Jin Lee is the one that drew this. Is this now the Asian area? Yeah, the Mysterious East. Early in the development, the art department was asked to design an Oriental-themed domain that Alice would explore while shrunk down to an insect size in her quest to locate the caterpillar. We thought our Chinese artists would have an easy time riffing on their own culture. However, we soon discovered that they had very different ideas about what was exotic or interesting or classical about their own art and history. With the Westerner designers and I might find certain antiques or styles kitschy and fascinating and ripe for interpretation. Through Alice's vision, the Chinese artists often found these matters of a fact of ordinary. What made matters worse is we wanted Alice's experience to be really to really be Oriental in the sense that the Victorian often mashed Japanese, Chinese, and other surrounding cultures together in their worldview because of they were racists and ignorant completely. On top of that, we wanted to convey that Alice had shrunk down to an insect size in this world. Early on, this created a lot of frustration. We eventually loosened up on this, knowing that there were giant props scattered all over Wonderland, so scale was never very consistent. Makes sense. Once again, the artist rose to the challenge, crafting a world of tyrannical wasps, beautifully hand-carved landscapes, and massacred origami. This was supposed to be Alice platforming in a 2D environment of a shadow play, I think. A shadow stage play. Beautiful, classical, and very much historically nice. This is amazing. You even see the little tools they used. I think these bonus videos are also showing me what it takes if I wanted to become a voice actor or even a narrator. With my current condition and lung allergy, it's not easy. I keep having to inhale strongly before I finish or even start talking. It's not easy. Because if I dare to breathe normally, I would end up coughing very much. This looks like a Chinese street of some kind. Yeah. Louis Milo. London's former Chinatown was located in the Limehouse area. In the East End, there was a large sailor community there with many Chinese immigrants, and the area was notorious for its opium dens. Alice roams these mysterious streets briefly, where she sees a lot of things that will influence the Oriental garden in the Wonderland. We were supposed to visit a Chinatown in the game, which never happened. What we instead visited was the house of the doctor, with the vases and the paintings, which was very much underwhelming, honestly. Had we been able to explore these streets, it would have been much more sentimental and fruitful. What is this? Vase, I think. I'm not sure anymore what this thing is. Water, leaves. This was done by Iwan Shoffing. The caterpillar area, where we got shrunk, and then they started to climb it all of it. Hongli, a map of the Oriental Mountain, done in a Victorian sketch style. Yeah, 3 parts of the climbing, and this is literally the entire level for the mysterious Asian. Nako, a map designed for the Shadow Room. It is a Chinese-style map on a rock. Okay, nice to know. Not everyone knows about the Asian culture, and many would like to study it. I love to explore history. So when the Asian people themselves see that we understand some information about their own culture, they would feel respect towards us, since we respected their own culture. Why am I making this comment? Because of a certain person that was very much mad about a game that had extreme Asian culture in depth into it. And he said it didn't really provide much of anything else. Some people just love so much to gatekeep. Nako, this is one of the first batch of Oriental level designs. I'm a Chinese, so it is easy for me to do this. Though most of us initially thought it was not a good idea to make an Eastern level in a Wonderland. We liked it more the way we worked on it. Believe me, making an Asian style level was a great idea. It was lovely. A little bit of frustration, but honestly very lovely. Also, your name reveals that you are an Asian person, and all respect for you. I love Asia. Alice on some seashells, bonsai trees. Not really sure what this thing is. More small trees, more bonsai. Above, Nako. Another concept shows the eastern field below Sun Gulyan. Alice finds the oriental rock in the Valley of Tears. The smoke coming out of the top temple is forming the caterpillar. Alice will shrink and enter this oriental world later. This art style reminds me very much of Origami. The beautiful paintbrush strikes are just impressive. Yeah, this is how we made it to the small oriental thing here, the oriental world, and she did smell the smoke of the caterpillar. Then she shrunk. Shishar wasn't with us, I think. I would have liked it had we had Shishar for a permanent companion throughout the game. But again, this is Alice, not some other game. Alice plus order here. The Jack in the Box, some candles, an illustration. Lewis Miller, an idea for how Alice might transition into a 2D show platforming session of the Oriental Garden, a projection room where the 2D gameplay would appear projected on a scrolling painting. Wow! This is creative. This is indeed creative. So this is a camera basically, and a projector. This is the lens. It would capture Alice and then project her into the screen. As an idea, this is very creative, but sadly, it would have been too much work for the machines themselves. So making her straight out to walk into the painting was much easier option. Caterpillar. Above, Nako, the caterpillar was placed in the Oriental domain. We gave him a lot of Eastern elements such as long beard, an old-fashioned Chinese pipe, and some Eastern style pattern on his body. Later he changes into a butterfly, and we used some Beijing opera makeup on his wings. I can see that. Yeah, the stereotypical beard with the mustache and whatnot. I can see it. Right. Yuan Shopping. I think we will read about this Humpty Dumpty looking like a thing in the next page. Alice. This is the 2D Alice, how they made the doll like. Left, 3D assets render. KW. Alice as she appears in the game's Shadow Path levels. Right, Hongli. 3 holy beast statues. They were heavily referenced from the actual antique. We should still remember that this is a micro world. Everything that looks big is actually tiny. Nice, yeah, I can see it. The 3 holy beasts. This reminded me very much of the Chinese, I think, 4 benevolent beasts of the martial arts. The way they made her, the shoulder area with the arm, the apron, the skirt piece, the leg alone, her chest and the torso area, the bow, also the leather strips, I think, the leather, the hair and the face. Everything is just made as a puppet. Nice, very nice. Everything is actually very tiny. An illustration with the classic black and white, an Asian style theme. Very nice. And here is Alice supposedly riding on a dragonfly. Right, Ken Wong and Son Guoliang, KW, which literally stands for Ken Wong. This is a recolor I did of one of the Son Guoliang's paintings to try to capture the darker mood for the mountain. Yeah, looks nice. The switches and I just wish to soak it in, get the feeling of the design itself, the idea of the designer, the style, the theme, the shaders, the depth. Nako, one of my favorite Oriental concepts. It shows the beauty of the Oriental domain. All the small things become big after Alice enters this micro world. You can see from this concept that we had plans for her to ride on a dragonfly. I told you she would ride on a dragonfly. And I think this area here is the continuation of the area above. This is the dragonfly other half. Don't forget this is a PDF version file of an actual book. So we're looking literally at the left page, then the right page. Not both of them at the same time. And since this is the size of the pages we are right now at with 100%, this means if I dare to make it to the full size, most likely I would require two full screens, as in my laptop screens. 57 minutes so far. And we reached 126. Very good. Okay, those are the origami ants and the Daimyo Takeda Shingen wasp. Nako. These are the wasp warriors based on the Japanese samurai. We combined the dark feeling of the samurai and the evil spirits of the wasp to make them feel dangerous. I swear to you, this is the Takeda Shingen comic crest. I played so much Sengoku Pasara and Samurai Warriors to know what I'm talking about. The scaling, wow. This is most likely the queen. Son Guoliang. The final design of the Wasp Empress, I added some Japanese elements to it. She was inspired by Lucy Liu in Kill Bill. Oh. I never watched Kill Bill, so I'm not sure what you're talking about exactly. I gave her a beautiful kimono and 3 traditional Japanese masks. She is wielding katana with 4 arms. 4 katanas. So this was inspired by Lucy Liu. Wow. One of my more respected actresses. I do respect this actress so much. Nako, another design for the Wasp Empress was a white ink wasp. She comes out of a Chinese red lantern. Oh, so this was the prototype for her, and this is the later one. So making her from Kill Bill, whatever. I will not even bother with it. I never watched any kind of Kill Bill films, Nor do I care about it that much. But as for the actress herself, I did see a number of films where she starred at. Next, I think those are the origami ants. The male farmers and the female villagers. I apologize for all the background noise. I have no control over them. Alice was supposed to explore the world of the origami ants, I think. The amount of cat content is exceptionally bizarre. This is uncalled for. The amount of cat content is extreme. More than enough to make at least 2 or 3 games together. If what we got is what we saw in the game itself. Cat content, more than enough to at least make 2 more games. Jen Lee is the one that drew this. Po Jin Song KW. The Shadow Puppets version of the Ants and the Samurai was for the Shadow Path levels. Yeah, we saw them. This is the cocoon of the caterpillar. I already saw it in the illustrations in the game itself as the extras, I think. We collected them from the bottles. Even as a cocoon, he must still have his own smoke. Alice is right here. What a scale difference. Amazing. Now, they're going to talk about this statue that I thought at first it was about the Shinto goddess of entertainment and dancing. How many poses were there for it? Also, the game really contains lots of exposed tops. Don't care at all. Never will. This is just art and sculptures, so what? We started with this kind. Is this supposed to be also the illustration of both sides of the Wasp Empress, maybe? Not real sure. Any commentary about this? Okay. Above, Yon Shofing, opposite. Nako, Alice meets the caterpillar. Alice is very small at this point, so I made the cocoon very big to create construct. This is about the above and then the opposite. Okay. Is this Queensland? So they didn't comment at all about the sculpture's design. Fair enough. Don't really care. They are just beautiful, that is. Yeah, this is most likely the Queensland. We are almost done. Sun Golyang. This first concept for the Queen's Castle, I collected a lot of references for this, like Gothic castles, and some art by Biksineski. We all like his style. I can tell. Looks gothic, classic, old-style horror films stuff. I can tell. Queensland. We're by now at 131. I think we can manage to finish this book today, hopefully. Queensland. Queensland was perhaps the easiest area to design. In the original game, the Queen of Hearts was Alice's arch-nemesis, a strange, grotesque reflection of her. Her power was represented by giant fleshy tentacles, which spread out throughout all of Wonderland. Parts of her castle seemed made out of the meat or flesh. Other parts were inspired by the Gothic cathedrals. I could tell. For this second game, we thought it would be interesting if all that flesh had dried out, like mummification. Her castle became a dried, dusty husk. We were inspired by the incredible work of the Polish painter Zdzisław Bixen. I cannot read this name. I can't read this, man. Sorry. Polish names are my weakness. I can't read this. who mixed architecture with organic material to create stunning, surreal landscapes. We thought this perfectly mirrored the way the queen and the castle were really one on and the same. We also thought the queen was not completely vanquished, and that somehow, somewhere in the tomb, the castle remained wet and fleshy as the queen slowly regained her strength. Don't forget that Alice in the first game defeated her horrifically and took the crown. Lewis Miller, Alice is back at what remains of the Queen's maze. All life seems sucked out of it, but not the evil. The hedges are petrified and crumbling. The stone blocks are somehow rotting, and it's too silent. Something definitely still lurks around in this maze. Sun Golyang's loose, flowing style and ability to mix references with his painting were perfect for this domain. We took charge with several early key pieces and then did a lot of iconic early assets design. Sun Golyang is a very much talented artist, and I do give that to all the other artists as well. This project would have never been done had it not been for the entire Chinese beautiful team. This is amazing. And we were deprived from all of this. I can't believe it. I told you already, the amount of cat content is more than enough to finish 2 games at least. Nako, Giant Alice in the Queen's Castle. Even if she was giant, looks like the castle is much even bigger than her. This is impressive. Now we reached the Queen of Hearts. So she literally is sitting down on a throne in the shape of a heart, and her body literally is the tentacles that are all down. Wired to the entire land, basically, as its monarch. Hong Li. Finally, we decided to make the Queen of Hearts look like young Alice. She's in a deep sleep, and her hands and lower body are all tentacles, which controls the whole domain. I adapted a lot of the Victorian clothing design and Gothic style designs. KW. The design of the Queen in the original game is quite strange, so we wanted to try something else for our game. We were originally going for a dying old woman, when American suggested going in the other direction and using a young girl. She's supposed to look like a young Alice, but I think it is a little bit of a self-portrait too. She has one of my favorite vocal performances in the game. I thought this was supposed to be Elizabeth, not Alice herself, the younger version. So this is supposed to be Alice's childhood shape. Not too much different from her current one, just longer hair and more mature face, honestly. And yes, her entire body is made of tentacles, nothing more, nothing less. She just has her bloody hand, and all of the rest of her body are just tentacles. What is it with this fascination of with tentacles on the American McGee's team? What is this? Son Golyang, the finger wall. The finger wall is similar to the corpse wall. You can see the dry fingers crossing each other. It feels really horrible. Oh, I thought this was a ribcage, not the fingers. Okay. Hong Li, a device in the Queen's domain inspired by Biksinski. I am so sorry for butchering the Polish name. Yet I can easily just pronounce the Asian names. Don't judge me. I told you before, I watch lots of Japanese and Chinese anime and manhwa. So I have some kind of a background how to pronounce these names. San Golyang. One of the concepts for the corpse wall, I collected a lot of images of mummies and corpses as reference. honor your dedication. I made the contrast very low and added a heart-shaped hole to make it more horrible. Below. Sun Golyang. One of my ideas, some tentacles suddenly come out of the ground and attack Alice. I think this will scare the players and make them excited. KW, sometimes Sun Golyang absolutely nails an idea right in the first speed paint. Yeah, this would have been real disgusting if tentacles suddenly just jump out and attack Alice. This most likely is the White King being held hostage by the tentacle. What is it with you and tentacles exactly? Nako, the White King is bound by the Queen's tentacles. Alice needs to break the king to get through. I spent a lot of time on details of the White King's painted face. I could tell. 135. Sun Golyang. This is a flesh pillar in the Queen's domain. I tried to add some carvings and decorations on the organs. Just a pillar. Normal pillar. Sun Golyang. The underground part of the Queen's domain is in fact her body and organs. They become part of the building. When you are walking in it. It feels like you are in the stomach of a giant monster. KW, Sun Liang and I tried to preserve a sense of Gothic architecture among the organic forms. I told you that the entire place feels like you are literally in her guts. And it is indeed. You are literally walking around in the Queen's own guts, because the entire Queen's land exists exactly inside her own body. The Queen's land are not just any land, it's her entire body. Disgusting. But also fascinating. Wang Li. This is the first design of the Queen. We referred to King Theodore's form from the two towers to show a feeling of weakness and near death. KW. The chamber was inspired by the space jockey scene in Alien. I could tell it's from Alien. I could tell. Wow. Sun Golyang. One of the early Queen domain's environment concepts, I created an unrealistic castle surrounded by dying tentacles. Alice is walking toward it. This is Alice. This is the tentacle. And she's walking toward this giant thing, castle. If you truly let loose all the fantasy of the developers, they would truly fascinate you with their ideas and concepts. Sadly, not everything can be done. I mean, they did use the Unreal Engine, but even the engines themselves have some limitations. Lift. Sun Golyang. The Scorp's pillar is inspired by Beksinski's work. Hail to the great artist. Above, Sun Golyang. A boost tool. I designed two versions of it. One in fresh and full of pus, which will come out when the pustule is broken. The other one is dry, nothing inside. KW. I give Sun Golyang a bunch of English terms to Google in order to find references for this task. I didn't have a stomach to check references myself. Justifiable. I am not going to search it either. I have a book to finish. If you wish to explore it yourself, it's up to you, really, not me. May God have mercy on your soul. Floating towers. Wang Xingyo. KW, a variety of half-stone, half-organic towers from the Queen's Castle. Yeah, if you think organic as in tentacles, then yeah. Otherwise, nothing about them is organic. I'm really getting sick of the tentacle teams. What is the fascination? What is the matter between the Western and the fascination of tentacles? They really love their octopi so much, the takoyaki and the other stuff, or is it just because of the adult RX rating stuff? Yuan Shongfeng. Yuan Shofeng. I could tell that this is the white queen, the king, those are the white pieces. All of them. Where's the pawn? Rook. All of them died. Cards and a giant tower. The background. The card guards. Designs. Yeah, all of them look exactly like zombies with the symbols of each type card. More cards, because this is the second page of the right side. Alice is riding a literal Chinese dragon of cards. Julie Dillon. Thing is, when I try to take a deep breath in order to read, and if I do drink anything beforehand, I start feeling that I'm going to vomit what I just drank because of my cough. Nako, KW. Nako actually made this when he misunderstood what I wanted for some paint overs of this transition. It's pretty sweet too. The big red gate, then it opens, and then an entire world of cards. It's sweet. Lewis Miller. The execution is the toughest of the undead guards. In fact, Alice can't deal him any damage in her normal state. Only a giant Alice. He seems possessed by the queen herself, with tentacles growing out of and through him. It's better to run from this one. I could tell. Too many tentacles. It's as if you are fighting the queen herself in your normal form. Only way for you to destroy it is to become the giant Alice. Wow. 140 out of only approximately 40 more pages and we're done. We have 1 more hour. Sun Goldyoung, the flesh tunnel in the Queen's Domain. I don't want to talk a lot about it. Look very evil. Looks very evil. It does. This is Alice here. Unlike Sugar Connery, that takes 2 years to give us the bonus videos, he promised us. I try my best to give you the bonus videos as soon as possible, so we can move on to new projects. Taylor Lockett. The Queen's Catacombs, although she's imprisoned in a heart-shaped cell, the tentacles have continued to grow from her chest and are puppeteering some angry mace toting playing cards. This also was cut. Why didn't Alice just destroy this queen? She's annoying. The maze. Was the queen supposed to be the minotaur of the maze? Nako, the maze is not big. Alice becomes giant Alice once she reaches the center. She enters from here, and then she starts walking around somewhere until she reaches the center. No. No. Forget it. I'm not going to try to solve it. Here, and here. Done it. Taylor Lockett. An atmospheric sketch, i.e., lackluster the craftsmanship of the entrance of the Queen's Castle. This was supposed to be how the Queen's Castle looked like in the concept art. Again, with the endless tentacles around. Giant castle with a card symbol here. Okay. Big heart. Alice is very tiny, almost like an ant. Okay. When they said Victorian London, they weren't joking. This very much looks like an old castle. Nice. Excuse me? Sun Golyang, my favorite key concept for Alice. I took references from a lot of dark artistics. When I was designing the castle, there is a big heart-shaped hole in the wall, and the rest of the castle is covered with deadly tentacles and organs. Looks like an Evil Dead place. Could tell easily. Sun Golyang, an old broken scene near the entrance of the Queen's Castle. What's this supposed to be? Okay, keep moving. Alice also standing in the middle of more tentacles and more stuff. Sun Golyang, the whole of the Queen's Castle. I use a lot of corpse elements on the wall and floor to make it look creepy. I can't see it. I can see it. What is this? Po Jinsong. These evil creatures live in the Queen's domain. Their appearance is based on real animals like spiders, crows, and rats. Their food is the rotten tentacles. I also designed a new creature that looks like a tongue. Will it attack Alice? We did meet these tongues multiple times throughout our gameplay, but they never touched us. I never, though, met those both. Fella, what's up? Hello, Invisible. I've been extremely occupied in the last few months and I haven't been able to watch your videos, but now I'm here. Nice to have you around. We already finished the project Let's Play Alice Madness Returns, and frankly, all of American McGee's Alice games. I played the first one as McGee's Alice, American McGee's Alice. I showcased Alice Madness Returns, the interactive book, and I finished already Alice Madness Returns for the PC. I'm not going to show you the Alice Otherlands because you should just go visit American McGee's official channel yourselves and see it right there. As for Alice Asylum, I'm still providing advertising for that crowdfunding project. At the moment, in order for us to finish completely this project, I need to showcase the last piece remaining, the art book for Alice Madness Returns from 2012. Talking too much kills my throat. We were supposed to meet up with a night-style enemy, I think. Wow. Wang Shingo. I tried a lot of designs for the chess player. Golden ones, transmuted ones, dead ones, and demon ones. I like the dead ones most, and I designed a lot of weapons for them. Most likely those were for the minigames. Yeah. The Mad Hatter. I think this is a scene from Alice in the asylum. We already saw this illustration in the game once we finished it in the extras. I think maybe in horrible scenes. When all of her fantasy creatures are around her in the asylum. Taylor Lockett. Alice is trapped down in the gurney, to a gurney, ready to receive a lobotomy. Get some moral support from her imaginary friends to break free. Ow. Right, Nako, the Twiddle brothers are very interesting characters in the first game. This time they become or dealers in the asylum and will return to the original style when Alice is mad. So when Alice is mad, they are normal. When she is in London, they are nonsensical. We finally reached the asylum, the last area of the game. So they are here to encourage her. Interesting. The short Rutledge asylum sequence was a chance for us to do some creepy stuff in the more familiar environment. We wanted to flicker between two worlds, the normal asylum close to what it was really like, and the surreal white insane asylum, which is perhaps how Alice saw the place. Every prop and character here has two versions: the clean white insane motive give us a chance to design some horrific stuff in a really different way. We were inspired by the art of the photography of Gottfried Hillwin. The asylum, some candle lights, someone in a wheelchair, maybe, not so sure. Some patients. I already finished the entire game from Alice Madness Returns Part 1 until Part 10. Currently we are at Part 13, the third part in the bonus. One hour and a half almost now. Above, Louis Miller finding herself back in the asylum. Alice is on the verge of insanity. At some point, within all the madness in these corridors, she can't handle reality anymore, so she enters a trance-like horror state in which hallucinations start to pour in and characters are distorted. I need something to loosen my throat. Everything turns clean white against which the blood flows painfully red. After the strange atrocities that start occurring, is it really happening? So this is actually Alice, I think. The patients and their counterpart, the crazy part. Wow. For her, this is the insane asylum. This is how she sees the asylum itself. And the upper image is what it really looks like. Funny enough, the asylum itself is just a prison, a jail cell. Give me a moment, please. Be right back. I need to have something in my mouth. Some maybe striplets, who knows. I need a little time to get myself something to loosen a little bit my throat.
Rated M for mature.
I'm trapped. I know what's real.
Go to Wonderland. It's only a dream. I'll set you free, Alice.
Is it mad to pray for better hallucinations?
Okay, back. Yes, all of that we already went through when we played the game in the 10 parts. If you want to watch the gameplay, just go back to Alice Madness returns from part 1 to part 10. Currently, we finished the game, so I'm just showcasing the extras and the bonuses. More of the insane people in the asylum, I think. Patients. Left. Only the male patient in the asylum comes in two versions, normal and insane. When Alice becomes mad, both the people and the buildings turn into an insane versions. Right. Hong Li, in the insane version of the patient, is bound to show Alice's crazy mind. Well, everyone is insane either way in this game. Wow, what is this? What is this? Transition? Left and above. Tyler Lockett. Alice post-lobotomy is sprouting a gnarly scar, vacant stare, and trademark lobotomy drool. Wondrous asylum, corridors speeding, spreading some crazy around. KW really wanted Alice to be able to explode people by looking at them, but we ran out of time. Wow. They really wanted to make Alice's hysteric form into a super powerful one. Reminds me almost of Fear's. Was her name Alma or was it Samara? I'm not sure. To drool the scar, and she can use her madness power in the real world to make all of the people around her explode and die instantly. This was supposed to be the idea. The straight jacket is torn. It's okay. Yeah, the real version, the insane version. More versions. Page 151. As per usual, I believe that April already left us after writing 2 comments. Hong Li and Nako, doctor and child patients from the asylum, note that the hands and feet of the insane ones are quite special. Yeah, the hands are messed up, and the faces are also messed up completely. Hong Li, the fat nurse from the asylum, the normal one seems kind, but the insane one looks quite creepy. Originally, the knife hands of the insane doctor belonged to his nurse. I could tell you wanted to go for an inspiration by Silent Hill most likely. Below and the opposite. Nako, the London version of the furniture, resembled how it looked in the real life, while the insane version is all white with some beautiful decorations. What is it up with the decorations with the flowers? The same kind of the proverbial bell blade. This is the game's last level. The dollhouse. And I can see Alice jumping from place to place. Yeah. The dollhouse. The last level in the game. Queensland was the second to last. This is the actual last one. Hong Li. The insane kids live in the dollhouse as they did in the first Alice. We wanted them to be crazier this time, so I took references from some cerebral surgery books, KW, to connect the dollhouse with the first game. We brought back these insane children, but we wanted to give them a bit of redesign. Hong Li recaptured their personalities perfectly. The straight jacket kid with his brains out. Another one with some crank. This one is stuck with a bone saw. This one stuck with some kind of other steel stuff. And the boss has scarred face. Seriously, the way they choose to treat their so-called patients is simply just criminal. The dollhouse. Okay, when we set out to design the Wonderland, we brainstormed a lot of new locations Alice could visit. Themed around the childhood or Victorian or gameplay ideas. After Hongley created the image on the facing page, we knew we had to have a gigantic dollhouse level in the game. As you can see, this one image contains a wealth of gameplay and design ideas, which we mined over the course of the production. We really liked the idea of walls folding out, and we kept finding new ways to use the doll limbs and hits in horrible ways. The aesthetics for this area was inspired by the work of Mark Ryden and the other lowbrow, high fructose artists. We used wood, porcelain dolls, parts, cake and candles, unified with the paste color scheme. Yeah, I did see that all in the gameplay. After Hongley's initial image, we wanted to explore the basement below the dollhouse. Our initial idea was that dolls were discarded down here. Then we became inspired by the work of the brothers Quay and their amazing stop-motion puppet work. We thought this dark, dusty underworld was the perfect complement to the colorful yet twisted world above. Here, the wood is rougher, and the nails and the screws become more prevalent. Wires and the sewing machines parts appear, which later become a motif of the dollmaker. We also had fun mixing bones and other creepy biological elements to the together. Now I understand why this doll head resembles Alice. Po Jinsong. This is the doll head version of Alice. We based it on Alice's face to differentiate it from the other doll heads. Previous page, Hongley. The dollhouse is an original area created for the game. We used Victorian dollhouses as references and put in a lot of surreal and weird elements in this concept art. We showed the bright and the colorful style of this scene as well as some gameplay elements. They gave her the green eyes, the bald head from the asylum, and the Omega symbol in the front and the back of the head, which is her necklace. The sign that this is the Omega, the complete version of us. Nako KW. A paint over of a doll fort, this insane children's last stand. Yeah, fort resistance. Nako, the bird on the left is the crooked flamingo from the original story. It is designed as a wooden toy bird who can hit the glass ball with its beak. The ball actually have a spiked hedgehog skull inside. So this were spiked hedgehogs. Wow. Alice moving around to the dollhouse and the forts and whatnot. This world is amazing. My respect toward the Chinese artists grew more and more and more, very easily. Above, Sun Guoliang. An early image describing the layout of the dollhouse domain. Doll boys live in the left area and doll girls in the right area. Oh, and in the middle there is a castle. This is a rough image without much detail. Left, Yuan Shofeng, KW. we tried to reference the characters from the original stories as much as possible. The Jabberwock, the lion and the unicorn, the Humpty Dumpty. So that's one is for the boys and this one's for the girls. Obviously, the girls one seems much more extravagant than the other one. The boys one looks much more designed, under cared for. Even in the dolls world, it's double standards. Boys are nothing, girls are everything. Whatever. Move on. Is this a castle? $156, $157. Take me away. Some dull parts with blood, broken mirror. What is this thing, Mama? A clock and a heart sitting in the chair. We didn't see this thing, but we did see its reference in the game. Piano with hands and a chair with its arms as legs. Hongli. These are the furniture and decorations for the dollhouse. We adapted a lot of ideas to make them match the feeling of the dollhouse. KW. These models are jam-packed with details. The more that players look around the environment, the more cool little things they'll find. I did do that. Previous page. Sungol Young. Lair of the final boss, the doll maker, who controls everything in the dollhouse domain. This giant black monster is the root of all the evil things. I think he's talking about the previous page, obviously. This one. And we did indeed see it. Also, I can see the wires coming out from everywhere. Didn't we agree that the final boss fight was on the train? But this was the first concept ideas. Okay, Lewis Miller. Left. Nako, the final design for the boss of the game, the dollmaker. Sun Golyang. Lewis and I made a lot of sketches before I made this based on Ken's and the game designer's advice. The whole process was exciting and interesting. KW. The dollmaker design came very late and it was very challenging to satisfy all the requirements. However, I think the result is really amazing and one of the creepiest, most jaw-dropping design in the game. Lots of dolls and strings. Even himself has his own strings added. Alice is right here. Below, Hungry final designs of the meat baby and the doll baby. Forearms, then very long neck with long arms, shooting at Alice's thumbnails. From the automatic sewing machine. This never made it, the flesh baby. And this also never made it. We only ever fought the baby doll girl. So at first they are normal crazy children, and then he strips them from their clothes and then turns them into dolls. Basically, reference to the prostitution. I think progression. Left, Nako. Interior design for the final boss room of the dollhouse area. Here Alice discovers how the dollmaker makes living children into dolls, which is the source of the infernal chain's power. Below, Hongli and Wu Yuan KW. These are the damaged states of the doll girl. A lot of combat designers came after the models were made, which meant we needed to go back and recreate damaged states and weak points. Doll girl heart cavity is milky and illusion to an alien. Yeah, when you attack the doll girl, she loses her clothes, then you break her chest to reveal her heart. The heart is supposed to be an illusion to an alien. Then you destroy the heart, and that's it. The first steps you take to destroy the baby doll are literally the same as those clients of Dr. Bumbles. When they stripped the girls nude, then violate them, and they break them mentally and physically. This story is amazing. Only 27 more pages, and that's it. We're right now at 1 hour and 45 minutes. I think we can finish this today, hopefully. Alice wandering around an area. I think we already saw this also in the game files. Too many wires. Lewis Miller, KW. Just as Hong Lee's first picture defined the dollhouse upper area, this picture by Lewis really contained everything we needed to know about the dollhouse underworld from the beginning. Amazing. Hong Lee, sometimes for some items for the dollhouse underworld we tried to show the darkness, disorder, and gloominess of this sad place. The babies that are controlled by the robes, the skulls, the hat with the skulls or with the nails, I think. Baby with the broken crotch, laying down, the broken head, skull. Wang Shingo. The giant doll is a tunnel that the player can walk through. KW. As disturbing as these drawings are, they are even more disturbing to play through in the actual game when we can make the player feel they are doing something wrong. We know we have got the design right. This is what happens when you have exceptional freedom in the design. You go otherworldly and you become some serious influence, inspiring and influencing designer. Wang Shingo. This is an interesting character, agile, aggressive, and powerful. KW. Christian the Dog Baby. This guy began life as a pet for Doll Girl. Has combat appearance, was unfortunately cut because of the time, but he'll pop up somewhere. Yeah, we saw it. We saw this abomination. Anything that belongs to Mats for me is instantly an abomination. Finally, the final boss domain. This is not really an actual level because you just walk through it and go straight to its frontal area. That's it. Infernal Train. Being the second episode in the game series, we wanted Madness Returns to borrow certain elements from Through the Looking Glass, including the train line. In our game, the train was morphed into something quite different, a harbinger of doom, a representation of the end of Wonderland, and with it, Alice herself. It chases Alice throughout the world, hunting her. The image above by Sun Golyang was done early on and remains the strongest representation of the train, a gothic monstrosity with carriages grown to the size of the cathedral. It serves as the stage for the showdown with the dollmaker. To the left is an early image of what the interior might possibly have looked like. It was a much bigger level. We tried our best to separate the themes and motifs of the train from the Harrod's domain. Top Son Golyang, this infernal train design was made when we had just started this project. It comes from Ken's description and designer's requirements. This steam monster is made up of big buildings, really huge. Left Louis Miller. True. Yeah, this is not really a train, but rather a couple of buildings that are a makeshift train. Very long, very big, and very evil. This was supposed to be how it looked like from the inside. Okay, this also is an illustration we saw in the extras session from the game. The train. Top, Louis Miller, KW. This is quite close to the final design of the train interior, which appears much smaller and calmer compared to the exterior. The battle guy didn't make it, though. Bottom, Louis Miller. Credits are given where credits are due. Another alchemical symbol, I think. Okay. The dollmaker in his own domain, and Alice is standing right before him. Disgusting Bambi. Nako. These are sketches for the boss battle room, a dark engine room of Gothic style. It is destroyed in the end. Yeah, the engineer of the train is the master of everything that's himself. 165. We are almost there. Hungry and Nako. N. These are the rune enemies that appear throughout all the domains. These are 4 of them, all born from the infernal train. They originally corresponded to Alice's 4 types of weapons. Hungry and I tried a lot of combinations of dual parts and oil to make them look cool. We also were inspired by No Face from Spirited Away. Okay, makes sense. No Face from Spirited Away. Lots of concept arts. Okay. The ship in the glass bottle. Philip Martins and Renato Fassini. Chapter 5, Cinematics. If I'm not mistaken, this is supposed to be the last chapter in this book. And once we're done with it, the project will officially shut down. With a precious few months left to go on the project, we realized we weren't able to complete all of our 3D cinematic scenes in time. Although we had some animation capability available. Cinematics work. Excuse me. With a precious few months left to go on the project, we realized we weren't able to complete all of our 3D cinematic scenes in time. Although we had some animations capacity available, cinematics work had always fallen upon our level designers, who were busy focusing on enhancing the gameplay and creating compelling, solid environments. This left no time for tweaking movement splines, adding particle effects, or improving the camera framing. What made things worse was that changes to troublesome gameplay or level geometry could make days or weeks worth of cinematic work obsolete, so as they were often tied together. We then made the decision to move many of our scenes into special motion graphic presentations. You mean the cardboard cut pieces created by a small group of artists. This would allow us to manage this process separately, independent of the level design, and also give these scenes a unique style. Those scenes were beautiful. We implemented Philip Martins, an old friend and Spicy Horse collaborator from Brazil, to head up the illustrations team who would create the assets for these scenes. However, we still had a lack of motion graphics expertise, so we collaborated with Edward Guin of Fly Films, a video and film production company in Shanghai, on very tight schedule. They worked together with a small team of artists to create vivid, imaginative interpretations of the scenes that I think work much better than straight 3D presentations ever would have. True, the animations were very beautiful. They had their own taste and their own theme for them. They were very nice. Philip. It was a rewarding challenge. The initial idea was to bring the original Tenniel illustrations to life, as if he actually illustrated our version of the story. I had two solutions, neither of which was easy. Using mock-up and a lot of 19th century printing references, I started to build a production process which only became effective once we started to think in a production line factory mode. We didn't have a lot of time, but the team was fantastic, and each talented individual contributed their unique signature. It shows in the final product. Thanks to EA's criminal schedule for crunch. Yeah, those cutscenes were very beautiful. Philip Martins and Renato Fassini, FM, which stands for literally Philip Martins. The final mock turtle, the one who received the dismissal letter, doesn't wear a hat, shoulder pads, or medal. You see, mock turtle wasn't an admiral yet. Hopefully, we realized that soon enough. Okay. Beautiful art assets. Renato Fassini, FM. Renato Fassini's talent is overwhelming. Like Avi, our art producer, once said, he raised the bar for all of us. True. Very beautiful, the work. Edward Guin, FM. Edward Guin, our animation director for 2D cinematics, showed us some of his magic when he followed the mood and vibe of the tundra, exactly as Nako, the concept designer, imagined it. Oh, I will not lie that, indeed, video games design takes so much time and funding for it. Sun Gold Young, Renato Fassini, and Philip Martins, FM. Sun Gold Young's horror-struck fish man on the left, Renato's shaken mock turtle in the middle, and my version of the walrus on the right. Thank you all for this beautiful hard work. Alice. Left, Sun Gold Young and Philip Martin. FM. Some of the assets to be animated were packed with an incredible number of layers, ready for action. I remember counting more than 70 on a walking version of Bambi. Below, Philip Martin, one of the first mock-ups to be presented as an art guide for 2D and cinematics. This one represented all the Wonderland sequences. Later on, Ed added this own signature with an awesome colorful light and shadow casting. All this is literally just digital painting in the shape of papers. Also, I must admit it that this style of drawing for animations gave the game such a unique taste for it. This is beautiful, very much beautiful. Combining the 2D stop motion illustrations with paper, I can't even remember what this style is named, but also with the 3D is really an intelligent idea. Thinking this all was just a last minute idea, this is a miracle. 171. We're almost done. The meet with the walrus and the oyster's death. Chapter 6, the Queen meeting. This is basically the storyboard. The fill in, what to do, what is to be expected, what kind of stuff happened. Top, Rentaro Vassini above Philip Martins. So this is the storyboard, how things would have should go. What is the order of the scenes and what will happen in them. Yeah. Fade in, cue of a queen looking angry, trace forward. Voiceover queen, madness and destruction, assets C, Q, queen. 3 is /4/angry. We are entering London cinematics now. The Dead Manor, exterior, Alice, window, creepy shadow. And the assets also. Voiceover, ask questions, you know the answers. Assets, house, well plus window, silhouette. Yeah, basically, this is literally a breakdown of all the elements that entered into the scene making. No need to read them all because we already saw the cutscene itself as is. Okay. Above, Wu Yuan and Philip Martin, FM. For a while, we discussed the usage of the animated assets instead of a realistic fire effect. On some scenes, realistic fire was easier, faster, and showed good results. Real fire won below Wu Yuan and Sun Golyang. Yeah, I think the realistic fire more effects were much believable other than the makeshift fire. But honestly, this amount of blast decision animations, assets, unbelievable. I mean, half of the cutscenes are made in this style to explore the game and explain it. The storyline. Wow. And he said also they were on a very tight schedule. Philip Martin, another old mockup. This one represents London sequence. Dirty and distorted, also my favorite. Another one with Alice when she faces the doctor. Okay, the storyboard elements here. Yeah, when they captured that criminal that lit up the place with fire, she starts naming him, belittling him, and then touches her head and falls. Above, Sun Golyang and Philippe Martin. FM, my favorite sequence would be the guard's narrative, where the cops explain how Jacques Splatter, one of my favorite characters, triggered Alice's rage toward the waste of mother's love. Below Philip Martins and Wu Yan, FM, plenty of room for a funny facial expressions with Jack. Yeah, even though she is a young adult, they keep showing her as a child. Even though Alice is already grown up, she's no longer a kid. She's a marriage-aged woman, as is. I think I'm going to stop checking my phone every now and then, because looks like, as per usual, Alpha is not going to comment anything anymore. Clockwise from left. Renato Fassini, FM. Renato's caterpillar just above about to hatch. Renato Fassini, FM. Renato's attention to detail shows up in this version of the Mad Hatter. Philip Martins, my version of the caterpillar of the carpenter, trying to justify himself to Alice and not succeeding. All this artwork, amazing. This is the cover for the book itself. Are we done yet? The bunny, the half brain cut. She's holding the doll, the girl doll also. All the dolls are around her. She's holding the verbal blade. And she has the hair mocking smile as per usual. Joy Ang of Udon KW. This is one of the marketing illustrations we commissioned from Joy Young. She really got the creepy doll thing easily and injected her own idea into the mix. Nice. Odds and Ends, Chapter 6. Okay. This incredible journey is close to an end. Concept design is where I started in the game industry. My first job was doing some sketches for a dark adaptation of The Wizard of Oz for American. After he saw some Alice fan art I had posted online, I never forgot the chance he gave me. In the years since, I've had to learn many disciplines of game art, from particle effects to facial morph targets, from normal maps to normal memory optimizations. A capable video game art director must have an understanding of, if not a capability, with a wide range of technical and artistic fields in order to lead their team, but I've always held the highest standards and reserved the highest scrutiny for the work of the concept artists under my charge. The artists who worked on Mendes Returns were not handpicked for the job. We didn't collect a heavy-hitting team of the most die-hard Alice fans. They were not assembled for their love of the twisted violence, their knowledge of the Gothic architecture, or their specialty in the sordid landscapes. They are the Chinese, Australian, Portuguese family that gathered in Shanghai to create Grim and then pitched packages of Baileyu research, Robo Libre, and a host of another insane ideas you may never see. They deserve a lot of respect then for enduring the research, ego trips, false starts, drill sergeanting, and trials by fire that it took to research, sketch detail, and finalize so much world-class art, on only a portion of which is held within the pages of this book. Looking back over all this art, I find myself incredibly proud of the way each artist rose to the challenge, developing skills they never knew they had to spin out this fantastically rich, horribly devious world of imagination and nightmares. It's unfortunate that more of these designs did not make it into the final game. Some were cut because of time, others because of the technical challenges, and some because they just didn't quite fit into the direction of the game was moving at the time. This book is therefore a wonderful testament to the incredible efforts of this talented team over the past 2.5 years. Ken Wong, Art Director, December 2010. Yeah, the journey is about to reach its ending. We're at now 178 out of 187. We're almost done. And the stream itself is almost done as well. Half an hour is left. Okay. Illustration of Alice with a knife. This one is one of the maybe candidates for my thumbnails, I think. Joy Ang of Odun KW, another of Joy's illustrations. This image prompted us to assign alchemical symbols to each of the characters. The card back Joy signed here was eventually used in the game too. Yeah, true. The alchemical symbols and the dress like that. Another Alice with the Cheshire Cat, the cogs, everything else about it. Alice. Nako San Goliang, Hong Li, and Kin Wong KW. This was an early attempt by our internal team to design a marketing image because it needed to be done really fast. Various parts of this image were done by different artists. Then combined, we each did color treatments and then passed the selected color treatment between us for the final adjustment. I can easily feel the inspiration from American McGee's Alice, the original one, before Madness Returns. Alice 2 in Tentacles written. Madness Returns. Wow. The fire of the Little House. This is horrifying, but also deliciously artistic. I have a fascinating weird taste for darker themes. I do enjoy seeing dark. I think this is the Little Family, most likely. Alice, her parents, and Lizzie. Alice 2. Alice Madness Returns. Alice Madness Returns. Alice Madness Returns. Alice Madness Returns. Alice here is standing and watching her family being burned. Yeah. Left. Nako, midnight in Hyde's Park. Alice is her house, floating and on fire, and her family members are waving to her. Above, Ken Wong, Nako, and Louis Milo, KW. These are various ideas for the game logo. Yeah, I can tell. Alice 2, Alice Madness Returns, Alice Madness Returns, Alice Madness Returns, Alice Madness Returns. Yeah. Hatter's Domain color script. Yeah, I think all of those were visited in the main game extras part. Spicy Horse Design Team KW. With such a variety of locations, it was important for us to identify areas by color scheme. The Matterhorn's domain was always in danger of becoming a grey and brown mess of rusty metal. Here you can see us pushing turquoise, crimson, and blue-grey in an effort to give each area its own color identity. These color scripts were also useful to get an overview of our sprawling domain. At first, honestly, I thought that game design began with creating the world models, or even at least masses, but looks like I was wrong. Actual game design starts with the illustrations and the images to understand what you are about to start making. Okay, diluted depths color script. Spicy Horse Design Team KW. From the start, I didn't want the diluted depths to be dominated by the blue. So we also wanted to color the light our scenes more theatrically, with less concerns for realism. This allowed us to use any colors we wanted depending on the theme of each area. Those developers are really amazing. Almost done. Chapter 3 London Color Script. Spicy Horse Design Team KW. In contrast to most of the Wonderland, London is grey and bleak. These keys depict the warm morning light as Alice stumbles into a rich area of London to meet her old family lawyer. Here she hallucinates and ends up walking into the Valley of Doom. Looking here, and then she starts hallucinating, then she goes into the Valley of Doom. Okay. Mysterious East color script. Some illustrations here were entries, I think. Spicy Horse Design Team KW. The colors of the miniature Oriental domain were dictated largely by the materials it was constructed out of. Some of these areas are among the most beautiful and unique in the game. I stated also that when I looked at the skybox. Very beautiful, colorful, and uniquely designed with a unique art style. Queensland color script. Spicy Horse Design Team KW. Queensland's color scheme is divided into dead, dry areas which have been bleached and drained of color, and the wet, fleshy areas that throb blood red and bruised purple. Breaking these areas up are the cleaner chess rooms and the green tinted mazes. I could tell. Okay, another cover, what I think. Alice entering the Queensland area, I think this is. Above, Lewis Miller, bottom left, Nako, bottom right, Kin Wong. The pug snouts. Alice in the Queensland, standing on a tentacle with the Cheshire Cat. This is Joy Ang of Orin, the artist here. And for the last 2 pages, I think this is the team, literally. Kin Wong, www.kinart.net. This is Kin Wong. Alice Madness Returns art director Kin Wong hails from the Adelaide, Australia. He has worked on several projects with American McGee in the past, including American McGee's Grimm. He would like to give a shout out to all the ancient folks of Itbu, whose collective weirdness, philosophy, and human resources inspired the art of direction of this game as much as anything else. Sungol Young, this is the guy. www.banhattan.blogpost.com. Sun Guoyang was born in Dalian, China as a child. His interests were drawing and animals. Disliking the educational system, he joined the Air Force instead of going to the university and ended up learning a lot anyway. Returning to his hometown, Sun worked for several advertising multimedia companies before moving to Shanghai to develop his career, eventually becoming a concept artist for Spicy Horse. I think I better close a little bit here so we can read them. Lewis Miller, this is the guy. Lewis Miller was born in Lisbon, Portugal. He has always drawn for fun, but became serious around 2002 when he began learning digital illustrations online, eventually studying the graphics design at the Faculty of Fine Arts. Miller's professional illustrations work has mostly been video game concentrated, and in 2009 he moved to Shanghai to work with Spicy Horse on Alice Madness Returns. Now back in Europe, Milo is looking forward to other ventures in art. I hope they can bring him back to work on Alice Asylum. Hong Li, this lady. Hong Li was born in Shanghai, China. She majored in sculpture at school. She has worked in comic storyboards for animations and TV post-productions and spent 3 years as lead concept artist on the local MMO project. In her 3 years at Spicy Horse, Hong has participated in American McGee's Grimm and now Alice Madness Returns, which she finds even more interesting and impressive. Yeah, it is. Wu Yuan. This is the guy then. HTTP I will not even read everything. i.yuhu.cn/559192. Wu Yuan hails from northern China. his 8 years as a working artist cover a wide range of experience, from comics to games, and from cell phones to the PS3. He grew up together with the Chinese game industry, who is honored to be a part of the Alice Madness Returns project and to work with such a talented team. Truly, their talents are amazing. Ben Kerslake. So this is the person. The elusive Ben Kerslake was first spotted in the primitive wilds of Melbourne, Australia. He was promptly captured and set to good use in the concept artist on American McGee's Grimm. He later evolved into a creative director, but has been known to omit concept art and exploratory diagrams during the high season. Nako. Zhou Lingai, nicknamed Nako, was born in Shanghai, China. He worked at an outsourcing company for about 1 year before joining Spicy Horse, where he has spent 3 happy years with colleagues and finished work on American McGee's Grimm. Alice Madness Returns is his first realistic style video game. Tyler Lockett. www.tylerlockett.com. After being exposed to new colors in New York City, Tyler Lockett journeyed through Mongolia in search for giants, took refuge in the urban jungle of Shanghai, was shipwrecked on the small island of Thailand, and is currently contemplating levitation techniques in Japan. Oh my god. It's lots of insider jokes. Philip Martins. Brazilian artist Philip Martins was born in Sao Paulo and has been working in Shanghai video game industry since May 2010. His passions are games, nerd culture, and small dogs. Martin lives happily with his soon-to-be wife, crafting new projects and collecting small monsters in jars. This is a very, very beautiful team. Po Jinsong. Greetings. Po Jinsong was born in the Sichuan province and an euthanistic game fan. He decided to join Spicy Horse right after graduating from school. While working on Alice Madness Returns, Po had a wonderful time learning from the production and getting to know his talented colleagues. Beautiful. Wang Xingguo. A native to Shanghai, Wang Xingguo worked in animation as a layout supervision before joining the game industry and becoming a concept artist at Spicy Horse. Wang considers himself lucky to have been involved in the entire production of Alice Madness Returns. True, everyone here is very lucky to be included in this beautiful project. Yuan Shaofeng. Yuan Shaofeng was one of the first artists at Spicy Horse, contributing art to American McGee's Grimm and Beijing Racers before working on Alice Madness Returns. I'm going to search to wiki American McGee's games so I can check out his other games. This is amazing. Jin Lee. ZN led.blog.suho.com. I know we can just go straight to the link if I just click here, but no need for it. Jin Lee has worked as a game concept artist for over 5 years and loves his job. Okay. Now for the literally the last page. We're done. The book is done. 3 arts. Legendary game designer American McGee created one of the most visually arresting game of all time in American McGee's Alice. 11 years later, American McGee returns with a sequel just as groundbreaking as his critically acclaimed classic Alice Mendes Returns. Just in time for Alice Mendes Returns, Dark Horse and the artists of Spicy Horse game invite Alice fans to take a journey through the wonderland American McGee's imagination for the unprecedented look at the creation of this magnificent and disturbing world, featuring introductions by McGee. The Art of Alice Mendes Returns offers an intimate look into the stunning and terrifying artworks behind the blockbuster reinterpretations of Lewis Carroll's enduring masterpiece. Praises for the American McGee's Alice. Alice raises the bar for level design and graphics. It's really rare that you play a game that's just so consistently brilliant and never falls to the first level punch, only to peter out as you get more than halfway through the game. Alice will suck you in and keep you interested throughout the entire elaborated journey. This was written by IGN.com. This is why the grammar is broken a little bit. By GamePro.com. The graphics are awesome, the levels are frequently brilliant, and the whacked out character design is perfectly suited to Alice's adventure in hell. The worlds that Alice leaps around are stunning, mind-bending, and unbelievably cool. Yeah, we're done. We're officially done. Darkhorse.com. This book is sold for $34.99, as in 35 American dollar or 39 can. That's also what this is. It's Chinese something, I don't know. Black Horse, EA, and Spicy Horse. Yeah, we're done. We are officially done. We are officially done. It's over. Took us 2 hours and 26 minutes over 3 parts. Part 3, let's see here. Final part. Yeah, it's done. The project with this is officially shut down. I showed you the art book, all of it. I gave you the bio for American McGee's life. We spoke about the first game, let's see here, I don't want to get lost with my commentary right now. This will be my final commentary for this project because we're done, officially. So then, American McGee's games. American McGee's Alice was a very groundbreaking, acclaimed success. I will not repeat the entire story. Just a quick thoughts to end this project. American McGee's Alice, the first game, takes 10 out of 10. Perfect game. Everything in it was just purely perfect. From music to illustrations to graphics to etc. Everything about it was perfect. Maybe my only problem with it was with the saving and loading features, that's it. Some areas were very frustrating, but also it's a part of the challenge itself. Followed up by the 3D book illustration, the interactive book in the iOS that combined bridged the story together. Then we reached the American McGee's Alice Mendes Returns. The game is perfect, honestly. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. The character is very lovely. The illustrations are awesome. The graphics, music, battles, the story is very great. The whole final presentation is very amazing. The extras, dresses for Alice and weapons were also great. Chapter selection and hysteria mode are also beautiful. The story concluded in a very great way, setting up the goal for the last and final sequel, Alice Asylum, where Alice shall have her last stand against the corrupted world of the children prostitution crime. She started fighting. But don't forget that in between Alice Madness Returns and Alice Asylum, there is the mini series of 2 short cinematics, Alice Otherlands. So, my final score for the game as a whole. I'm talking about all of American McGee's Alice and Alice Madness Returns, both of them, alongside with the interactive book, Alice Madness Returns interactive storybook, and the extras with the Alice Madness Returns art book from I think 2012. All of them get a 10 out of 10. Hidden gem, underappreciated series. You should give it a chance whenever you can. And if you wouldn't mind showing some courtesy and some kindness, pledge some money to American McGee's funding for Alice Asylum. The game at the moment is still in the illustrations phase and needs lots of funding to start officially developing in order for us to put our hands on the last sequel that finishes the story completely. If you actually visited the Patreon for American McGee's Alice Asylum, they already show you a prototype version of how the game story will end indeed. They already designed, illustrated the ending, how the story will end. And this kind of ending, I'd like to see it live and well with Alice from American McGee. This is by far the most beautiful interpretation of this game, and this is the best interpretation and adaptation of Alice's own character. I prefer this version of Alice over all the other interpretations, and I prefer this kind of setup over all the other interpretations as well. I like the serious taste and the serious take of the game and the storyline by Lewis Carroll. With that being said, this has been with you, your host Invisible from Invisible's Gaming Channel, striking at your hearts from the dark side of the moon. And this has been with you the last and final part of Let's Play Project Alice Madness Returns. American McGee's Alice Madness Returns for the PC, and this has been the last part of the bonus materials. First was the memories, then the extra stuff from the game, characters' bios, enemies' descriptions, illustrations, etc. Then we finished off showcasing the art book from 2012. Also, I showed you quickly the guide for the walkthrough of the entire game. If you want the links for the art book and the walkthrough, I wouldn't mind providing them into the description links. With that being said, I think this will be it. So, I'd like to pray peace be upon all of my subscribers and commentators, forwards, fans and friends, everyone from the beasts of the Altered Empire, and everyone from the Discord server, free YouTube friends. By name, peace be upon Thunderstruck Gaming, B809 Gaming, Luxbear, Marcos, NitroCrash31, Mark IC2211, Rogue Agent, Carodan, Cryfield, ZPTV123, Matthew Elvin21, Sagata Cool 85, Arforel, Musclepan Gaming, and Bob Express. With that being said, I pray peace be upon you all. Take care, stay healthy, and stay safe. We are living in very unsafe world, unpredictable world, and unguaranteed world. Nobody knows what will happen in the future, if there isn't a future to begin with it in the first place. So make sure you keep your friends and family close to you, keep your enemies even closer to you. You don't know when you'll need help and where it will come from. Give credit where credit is due, give gratitude where gratitude is due, and always remember it's much easier and simpler to state thank you to someone that you owe gratitude to than it is to give flowers to the dead. Until next time, with our new project, whatever that will be, Invisible with you, sign out. Best of luck, and take care of yourselves. Stay healthy, stay safe. Stop the stream. This, I conclude Project Let's Play American McGee's Alice Games. Alice and Alice Madness Returns now is officially concluded. I thank very much the bundle of Alice Mendes Returns Complete Edition for giving me the chance to play both games, and also finding the art book and the manual. I'll link how I got them both in the description later on, so that you could get your own copy of both of them. Till next time, and into our next project, whatever it will be. Stop us.